Hello and welcome back to the Project Pet podcast, where you can find out everything that we're up to at Project Pet Dog Walking, interviews of our guests, and even learn how you can start your own dog walking business. My name is Dan Fothergill, and I hope you enjoy this episode. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to this podcast, the Project Pet podcast. And this is the first episode, the introductory episode into this podcast, really. So I've got a few things that I want to talk about. It's not going to be the longest one. There's going to be longer episodes. But I just want to go into, a little bit about who I am, what I actually do, what is Project Pet, why I started a podcast, and all that kind of thing. So I guess I'll start with who I am, really. So my name is Dan Fothergill, and I've been working with animals for years and years. Most of my working career, I've worked in dog kennels. I've volunteered at zoos. I've worked in pet shops. I've worked a lot with parrots, actually. So I've got a lot of experience with parrots. One of my favourite species, as such. If I was to go and work in a zoo, I'd probably go and work with parrots. And I started a dog walking company a couple of years ago. Started it about 4 or 5 years ago, and then I put it on the back burner for a bit whilst I worked at dog kennels. And then when I saw sort of no kind of like movement as such with that role, I then decided, look, it's a good time for me to leave and start something on my own. I've always been an entrepreneur, even without realising. It's only recently, the last year, I've realised I've always been an entrepreneur. So starting off doing like car washes and stuff like that with my friend Dave. Dave, if you're listening, you know what I'm talking about. Did a lot of car washing to make money to go and buy, but back in the day I was a little bit of a nerd, used to go and buy Warhammer. We'd go and make £15, in an afternoon doing £15, £30 doing car washing. I was about to say dog washing then. We'd go and buy Warhammer and paint it. That's kind of what my childhood was. So didn't do the lemonade stands, as cliche as it is. So been working with animals for a long time. Started Project Pet. Originally actually started it before the dog kennels. Going into when I used to go in my clubbing days with my friends, I always used to see people, homeless people on the streets, begging for money, or just sitting there with dogs. And you know what it's like. I'm sure all of you have walked past a homeless person. You kind of, it's almost that awkward feeling. You're holding an iPhone, yet they're sat there with nothing. And I kept seeing a lot of them with dogs, and I'd go over and say hi to the dogs. And I'm like, I always used to think to myself, have they eaten today? They look all right, but have they eaten? Some of you might be saying, they just go there to get the money, then they go back home later on. Me being naive. Anyway, I'd rather, think that that's not the case. So what I started was I went to Asda and different places, and I bought dog food, and I got blankets, and I'd go each week. Didn't do this for a long time, but I'd go each week and I would give these homeless people dog food and like a blanket. These are like £1 blankets and like Poundland. It started from there, and that's why I called it Project Pet, because it was kind of a project. And then I got told off by, I can't remember who it was now. Basically got told off anyway with this person, not literally told off, but saying you shouldn't give dog food to dogs you don't know, because it actually it could be even worse than you could kill the dog if they've got allergies and stuff like that. And that actually kind of worried me a little bit. It's almost like I'm doing worse than what's already happening. So I kind of stopped it, because then I started to go back on like a Wednesday night or a Thursday, and I couldn't really find any of them, which in a way you could say is a good thing, but also it's a bad thing. So I kind of stopped that, and then I was like, well, I've always wanted to do dog walking. Did some experience at this dog walking company, not for very long, but always wanted it. Always kind of excited me, the thought of starting a dog walking company. You could earn a lot of money from walking people's dogs. And I basically started, really. Had a name already, Project Pet. started with my car, had my first clients, and then it kind of just went from there. But then I sort of put it on the back burner when I found an opportunity at a kennels down the road for me, because I knew I needed more dog experience, and this was perfect. And especially when I started that job, and maybe some of the people that work there, if they're listening to this, I then realised I was like, damn, I don't have enough experience. So 2 seconds, got a text come through. It's not good for a podcast, but my dad texted me, and I'm just literally at my office right now doing some work on the dog walking business whilst I'm filming this podcast. And that's kind of one of the things I want to do, be able to sort of multitask, film a podcast and just kind of talk to myself, but obviously I'll be talking to you guys hopefully when I start getting an audience on here, and also do some work at the same time. So instead of when you try and commit to something, you can easily put it to the side and say you'll do it later. But I want to try and enjoy this instead of, that's one thing this year I'm working on, is do things that I'm happy, what makes me happy and I enjoy, instead of doing it just because I think I should do it, or creating a podcast just for the sake of it. I want to create a podcast just to I'll go into more detail about that. I'm kind of drifting off onto what I'm saying, but yeah. So when I started at the kennels, a lot of them were bigger dogs, and which was really good for me actually, because I had no experience with big dogs. It was mainly the little ones. I've got 2 dogs myself, Lucky and Milo. They're both, one's a Yorkie, one's a mongrel, a Yorkie cross, all sorts of things. God knows what she is. But she's lovely. They're both lovely. So started getting experience there with like German Shepherds, Labradors, just working in a kennel environment. And it was probably the best, apart from what I'm doing now, the best job I've ever had. I hated it and loved it. It was one, there's always things you don't like about jobs. There's also things you do. And it's one of those, I really do miss it actually. But I learned a lot there. I learned a lot from I worked with all girls. There's a guy called Mike as well that did sort of like the handyman around there. So it's only male attention that was there. But no, the rest of them it's a female dominated industry, working with animals. And I learned a lot from them. It was an amazing time working there. But I just knew it was my time to move on. So I then started up a marketing company for a while, and I'm still doing that now, and then started my dog walking company again, and so I'm juggling both of those. But the dog walking company is my passion business, and if I was probably to choose between both, I would choose dog walking. Just absolutely love it. I love the industry, I love the people, I love my clients. And when I say that, I love the owners are really nice. I absolutely love their dogs. Really built some strong relationships with all the clients, as if they're my own, and that slightly worries me. But you can't. It's just one of those things, isn't it? So when you build relationships, it's just it does kind of worry me, just in case anything was to happen. I don't know what I would be like. I have experience at the kennels, actually, to be fair, and I actually dealt with it quite well. But I feel like I've got a strong relationship with my dog walking clients, just because I walk them on a weekly basis instead of seeing a dog come to the kennels and then not see them for a couple of months. So it's slightly different. But so that's kind of what I've been doing, and then I'll let you know a little bit about what Project Pet's about. Any of my clients that are listening, you know what Project Pet is, of course, and really appreciate you supporting us as a company. But Project Pet, we are a pet services company, so we do dog walking, we do pet sitting, we do some daycare, we do pet taxi, although we don't do much of that. There's not much of a need for pet taxi. Mainly a dog walking company. But I always had a plan for, there's so many dog walking companies, not only in my local area, but just in the country. We're based in the UK. The US is so popular. Any US listeners, you know what I'm talking about. It's crazy over there with dog walking. And I wanted to sort of stand out a little bit more than, from the crowd, and not just be a dog walking company. I wanted it to be sort of a message there. I'm trying to think how I can explain this. I'm not great at explaining things. You're probably going to find this out. I might improve as podcasts go on, but Yeah, when I can't explain something, I'm going to stutter. So I'm trying to think. Like it's easy to explain, but I know what it's like. You know, I'm thinking of it in my head. I know why I did it, why I started it, and why I wanted to do it in this different way. I just didn't want to be like an everyday dog walking company. I wanted there to be an even bigger, that's what I mean, an even bigger message, and even involve my clients in this, in this message, and create something that's not just a dog walking company, it's bigger than a dog walking company, and also something that follows like my ethics and morals, so my passion. So I kind of combined the environment with dog walking, and of course they combine with each other anyway. I wanted to promote, the climate crisis and try and improve how we run as a business, helping the environment, and also inspire other businesses, other dog walking companies, and other businesses in general, and even my clients and my friends and family, on how we can all be environmentally friendly. And that's something I want to do with this podcast as well, is talk about that. It's going to be a dog walking podcast. It's going to be a dog podcast in general, but I do want to implement the environment talk within this. So hopefully some of you, or all of you, will be interested in that kind of topic. So what we actually do, going on from us being environmental, we use electric vehicles to pick up and drop off, to transport all the dogs back and forth from their walks, and that's our main thing actually. Is that, and I have actually done another episode about what we are going to be introducing. I'm not going to introduce that on here just because I don't want to ruin that episode. So that's actually the second episode. I've already filmed it. I've actually done a video. I'm not videoing this one. This is only audio. So I'll introduce that one into the next episode. It's to do with us, making this business more environmentally friendly and how we can really make an impact on the environment, and talking about the climate crisis and global warming. So that's basically what we do, and using the electric vehicles, I absolutely love it. Actually, it proper converted me. When I got it, I was so excited. We've got some more electric vans coming on, because we're expanding into a few more locations. So that's super exciting, and it's quite funny actually, because I've got if you go onto my Instagram, my Project Pet Instagram, I'll leave the handles in the description. You'll be able to see what the van looks like, and on a weekly basis, not a daily, but a weekly basis, the amount of people that come up to me and say, because it says on the side of it, it says 100% it's a fully electric dog walking van, something like that. I've got the van outside actually, I can't remember what it says on the side, but and people think that we've got treadmills in the back of the van, which is just ludicrous. But again, trying to put myself in a different perspective, in their perspective, I guess if you were to read that, then because it's happening for multiple people, I thought the first two people are just stupid, or what you want about. But it's happening on a regular basis, so I may have to change some of the marketing on the van. But it's quite funny to, I'm just going to move the mic closer to me. It's quite funny to know, or to hear that from people, that they think we've got dogs on treadmills in the back. Maybe there's a business model for that. You never know. Maybe we can go into that. I can try that. So not a bad idea, is it? But I know you can already get treadmills for dogs anyway, because I know you train like greyhounds and whippets and stuff on those kind of things, or just on like human treadmills. But no, I just thought that's quite funny. Thought I'd mention that, because it does make me laugh actually, when I'm on walks and they say it. And then I've had it where I've opened the back of the van and they literally get so embarrassed. They're like, "Oh my god, I'm so stupid." I'm like, "Yeah, you are." No, but it makes sense though. I understand it. So I've mentioned a bit about our services and kind of what we do, and about Project Pet. So why have I started a podcast? Why a podcast? And I listen to a lot of podcasts when I'm dog walking, and this is one of the main reasons actually that I started this, is because when I'm on a dog walk, I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I know that other dog walkers listen to podcasts just because I hear, I read things in groups and a lot of dog walking groups, and I thought, why don't I create a podcast talking about dogs, talking about my business? It promotes my business for a start. It helps with my clients. They can, if they want to tune in, hear what's going on, as well as, instead of me sending emails out, they can hear a podcast. And just for people on dog walks to be able to listen to something, keep them busy, I know what it's like. Obviously, dog walking, it can be quite tedious if you're and repetitive if you're going to the same places, and that's something I want to talk about as well. And yeah, just really sort of give back to the dog walkers out there that are doing a fantastic job running their businesses, and just be someone to listen to when you're out on a dog walk. And I just think that'd be a fantastic thing to do, because other people do it and I'm listening to them. I don't just listen to dog podcasts. I listen to, there isn't many of them. Another reason why I started, there's not many of them. I listen to a lot of podcasts that can that are educational, that help me with my business. I love just learning. It's actually quite weird actually. When I was at school, I was terrible. And I just hated school and I did not like to learn. But now, because I'm learning in the way I want to, I just love learning. I love education, as long as it's to do with what I want to do. So I think, that's a different topic, but, going into the school system, doing it on, teaching kids, what they kind of want to learn, outside of the compulsory stuff. So, because I really do love learning, and podcasts are a really good thing. And, I think they should be implemented into schools actually, podcasts, but no, that's a different conversation. So, what should you kind of expect with the podcast? What am I actually going to be doing? I kind of mentioned it in the intro. We're going to be doing like news updates. One thing I've already touched on it. I want to do updates about Project Pet. What we're doing. Are we moving to new locations? What we're doing to be more environmentally friendly? How we, what's happening day to day with the dogs? That's something I'm doing with YouTube actually, is something called weekly walks. What's going on, because a lot of dog walking companies, well, not dog walking companies, but there's a lot of friction online, not just in the UK and America, where people are a little bit skeptical of having someone look after their pet because of the incidents that have happened. And I've trained my brain to think, how can I be the Amazon of the dog walking world? How can I be so customer focused and grow my business? And that's what I want to do. I want to show, any clients that are listening, I want to show your dogs having the best walk every day, with one of us at Project Pet, wherever it is. And I want to document that as much as possible. And you will see that as time goes on, as we get into the rhythm of filming. We're always on social media. We're doing loads on social media, but I want to go a step further with that, and with the podcast here, with my YouTube videos. So yeah. Anyway, again, I'm going off a little bit onto what I'm meant to be talking about, kind of with the podcast. But so that sort of stuff, news updates, let's call it that. One thing I've been starting actually, because I've got a group on Facebook, is teaching people and showing people how they can actually start their own dog walking company. I love educating. I think I've got a lot to give. I know a lot of people want to start a company, and I've got a course coming out. So that's what I want to, combine this podcast with, a few episodes talking about, how you can grow your business. One reason, I can literally say one thing now: create a podcast. That's going to help you 100%, and I'll prove it to you over the next year that this will help your business, because I'm going to literally show it now. I'm going to prove it. I'm going to do it with this one. So yeah, that's showing, doing some episodes talking about different things on how you could start a dog walking company, how bits about certain things, how you can track your walks, all that kind of thing. So that's something I want to do. Another thing, I love YouTube. I love just funny videos, and I want to do reactions to like talking about things that have happened that are funny in the dog walking industry. So I'll do videos on that, like the video podcast, and then there'll be audio versions. So yeah, I want to do reacting to like funny videos and funny memes. I think there'll be an audience for that. And again, I just enjoy watching that kind of stuff, and I think it'd be funny. Like looking at TikTok videos. Any of you are familiar with that platform? That's something that I'm using at the moment. So yeah, there's a lot of funny videos, and I think people appreciate a good laugh after work. Tuning into, watching, reacting to funny dog videos. So yeah, that's what I want to do. And also, this was actually one of the reasons why I wanted to start the podcast and what I was originally going to do. But I want to do interviews. So I've done it with my agency, my marketing agency. I've done a lot of interviews with restaurant owners. I'd love to do celebrity interviews, and I've emailed a few. And haven't got any replies as such. There's one person that's potentially be able to come on, but one person that I would love to get on here, and it might excite you if any of you are a good fan of him. I've been a fan for ages and ages, and I think it'll be such a funny episode. And I want to do this on a walk, like these kind of interviews. I want to do on a dog walk, so this will be outside. I would love to get Carl Pilkington. It's a bit random, but Carl Pilkington on the podcast. So Carl, if you're listening, which I know you're not, love to get you on a podcast. And yeah, I think it'd be really interesting. I just think he's such a fascinating person. So yeah, and it'd be interesting to see what he says about just pets and stuff like that in general. So yeah, I'd love to do some interviews, not just with like celebrities, but people about the environment, dog trainers, education and stuff like that. I'd love to do that. So there's plenty of things to talk about on this podcast. So, and like I said, it's going to be in video form as well. So it's going to be going on my YouTube channel. It's Project Pet UK, I think it is. Again, I'll put that handle in the description. So yeah, I'm going to end the podcast introductory episode here. And I think I've touched on everything that I wanted to speak on. So I'll release the next episode really quick. It's already filmed, it's already ready. And that one's only a short one again. They're going to be 10 minutes. Some of them are going to be an hour long. Some of them are going to be like 10, 20 minutes. All sorts of different times. I might do some on walks with my staff as well. So yeah, thanks for listening, and I will see you, or you can hear me in the next episodes and future episodes of the Project Pet podcast.